Hey, what's up everyone, it's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I'll be sharing with you my August wrap up, so please stay tuned. And I am back, and also if you're new to my channel, welcome. So like I said before, I'll be sharing with you my August wrap up, so let's go ahead and get started. So one of the books that I had finished up reading in the month of August was For All Time by Shauna Miles. I have done a review about this book separately, so stay tuned for that if you want to know the deets about this book. I will tell you I love this book, but that's all I'm going to tell you. You're going to have to wait till the review comes up, which stay tuned for that. And if you want to watch the review, please hit that notification bell because that will let you know when that will be up on BookTube. So we have this. Next, we have this book, which I pre-ordered. This is one of my anticipated reads of this year, and it's Me, Moth by Amber McBride. This is featuring a girl named Moth and a boy named Sonny. Moth is in a terrible accident with her family, and she's the only one that survived. So she lives with her aunt, and she travels to Virginia. But her aunt pretty much ignores her because she still suffers from the fact that she lost family members, and she just can't get over that fact. So Moth is pretty much alone, and especially in this new city and with new people that just make fun of her and stuff like that. But then we have Sonny, who is also becomes Moth's friend. And he has a terrible time with his stepfather, but he loves his his biological father, who is a Navajo. And so Moth and Sonny end up taking this trip across the country because, like I said, Moth's aunt doesn't really care about Moth at this time, so she just leaves Moth by herself during the summer. And Sonny, he just doesn't want anything to do with his stepdad, so he leaves, and they go across the country and they visit all these different parts of the world, which I'm trying to bring up this list of where they went because it's really good. I felt like the locations was great, but let me see if I can find the list because I know they went to a plantation, and I believe that Moth went to go and pretty much give the respects to the slaves that were on this plantation. And then also, as Moth had lost all her family, she had lost her grandfather, who is also a root worker. And a root worker is when he pretty much is close to the ancestors and talks to them and stuff like that. And stuff like that, has them guide him with decisions and stuff like that that he has made, and just being connected with his culture. So we have that, but anyways, I can't really find the passage. So they travel across the country, and then I know that they go to the plantation, they go to these different parks, they end up going to the Navajo reservations for Sonny. And during this whole time when they travel, Sonny and Moth end up, they starting to like each other. But then Moth notices that Sonny takes these pills constantly, this medication, and she's trying to figure out why he's taking this so much. What's wrong with him? So after their cross-country trip, they come back. Moth stays with Sonny, and Sonny takes these pills again. Moth's trying to figure out what's going on. Next thing you know, Sonny's dad lets him know that you need to take these pills. These will help you. And then come to find out, the reason why he takes these pills is because if he doesn't, he ends up seeing ghosts. And then we realize Moth is the ghost that he's been talking to the entire time. Moth is not alive. And I was like, what? Like, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. So literally, that's the reason why he was taking these medications, because if he took the medication, he didn't see her or nothing like that. He was in his right mind. But if he didn't take it, he saw Moth and had a full-blown conversation with her. And even Sonny's dad, he's also has ways of connecting with the ancestors. And Sonny's dad also knew Moth's grandfather. So it made sense. So it was really interesting. It really had me on a whim. It just blew my mind in general. I really love this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because it's definitely something that I have not read before, because it gets deep into a lot of things as far as culture, Native American culture, stuff like that, and certain experiences that you face when you lose loved ones and you feel like you don't, like, why was I chosen to be still, why was I chosen to stay on this earth when my whole family is gone and I really have no one. So I really gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do so. It's really that good. So I got this and I read this and loved it. Next thing is Redempter by Jordan Fuego. This came out last month, and of course this is my pre-order. I really, really enjoyed this book. Of course, 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved Raybearer, of course, and I wanted to read more about what happens with Terasai, with Dio, Sanjit, Korra, everything like that. And we realized in this book that Terasai has these decisions to make and have these treaties to write, but she also has a mentor that she's trying to take, or trying to pretty much, save him from prison. But at the same time, he ends up being killed by a child. And these are people from the underworld. And they come to her saying, like, you need to help the children. You need to have, they need to pretty much be, avenged for. They need to have redemption. They need to have justice and stuff like that. So she has to appease to all these people and to the Abiku and stuff like that. So she tries to find people in the noble family to anoint. And as she does so, a lot of things pop up that just doesn't make sense. And then at the end of the book, we realize the whole point of her, of what happens with the book, the first book and into this book, is because she was supposed to be lured into the underworld, where they killed her, where they try to kill her and take her body to control the empire. But she does not let this happen. And of course, we have romance between her and Sanjit, which is amazing. I really love that little romance that they have going on in the book. But at the end of the day, of this book, it was really fascinating, especially at the very end, where she felt like anybody should have the hollow. Anybody should be a redemptor. It shouldn't be based on blood or anything like that, of royalty, of noble, of people, of someone being a noble. Anyone can be a redemptor or have the hollow. So that was one wish that she had asked for her father, who's the Mellow, and he gave that to her, where the hollow can be taken away and be sent to someone else if they haven't done any good deeds or whatever, or have done any wrongdoing. But the whole point of this book was, for this second book, was, the children during this time of the empire, they were sacrificed and stuff like that. All the Redemptor children were sacrificed, and she was trying to find a way to make sure that never happens again. So she tried to appease to Abiko. She tried to appease to everyone, but she was blinded from what she was hearing. She wasn't listening to her own heart. She was just basing off of, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this in order to please everyone. But in reality, you can't really please everyone. It's impossible. But this book was fire. 5 out of 5 stars automatically. And I'm so sad that this is the last book of the duology. It's a two book series, and I really enjoyed it. So I can't wait for more work from Jordan Fuego and what she does next. So a 5 out of 5 stars for this gorgeous book right here. Next book, I had read this to my children, is Flying High. And this is a story of gymnastic champion Simone Biles, and this is by Michelle Meadows and illustrated by Ebony Glenn. I read this to my kids, especially for my daughter, because she just started gymnastics and she really is enthralled with Simone. She just really loves Simone Biles. She looks up to her, and so I'm like, oh, well, here's this book, and she just fell in love with all the pictures in this book. And I've read it to her a couple times already because she loved her background history of Simone Biles. She knew how hard working Simone Biles, how she still is hardworking, and what it means. And if you really want to reach your goals, you got to constantly work at it. You constantly have to perfect your craft, get better at it, practice. And that's what she's doing right now since she started gymnastics. And that's what we always tell her, like, yes, it's fun, but it's also something, if you really want to do something, you have to concentrate, you have to practice and train and stuff like that. But my daughter is 6 years old and she's really loved gymnastics already. She gets tired at the end, which is fine because that's the whole point. It's a lot of upper body strength. But yeah, since my daughter loves this so much, of course, 5 out of 5 stars for this one, because she always asks for me to read this, so I can't just say no, I'm not going to read it to you. But yeah, so I read this to my daughter, or both my kids. My son really didn't care much for it. He's like, oh, pretty pictures. these three. So yeah, but my daughter really loved it, so I'm glad she loved it, and I'm gonna still continue to read this to her because it definitely inspires her. So, and it inspires me too because it makes me think of my goals and what I want to accomplish in life. So yeah, we have this. And then the last book, or one of the last books I have read in August, is The Silver Serpents by Roshani Chosky. I read this because the third book comes out in September, the end of September, which is The Bronze Beast, which is located in Venice. And this is a historical fiction book, which the first book is The Gilded Wolves. So it's like, okay, this has been on my shelves for a while, and I felt like this is a good time to read this because the third book comes out very soon. So I read this, gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry, like, my rating is crazy, but if I really love this book and I really enjoyed the book, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 stars. That's just me, right? But I really enjoyed this. This is when we travel into Russia, where we have Severin, we have Layla, we have all the people looking for the divine lyrics. So we have that, and then with that, the whole point of them going to find the divine lyrics is for Layla to live. Severin, who is the main person in this book, who is pretty much the noble who has the rights and has inheritance to one of the orders, he doesn't know that Layla is dying. So, but the whole group, the other group does. The whole group knows that she's dying except Severin. And so at the very end of this book, we realize, like, the divine lyrics isn't a book, it's a person. And then we realize and then we know who the divine lyrics is. And I'm like, what? I did not see that coming. It ended on a cliffhanger for real. It really got me hanging. I'm like, what the heck? Like, it was just crazy. Like, just also just going into this world where it's historical fiction, but it's fantasy as well, so it's like intertwined with different genres. I really love. And then we also have the romance interest between Severin and Layla. But I just really love this book because there's a lot of people where we deal with in this book, especially we deal with a historian. We do, like, all of them are pretty much treasure seekers in this book, which I really love. I love treasure seekers, you know. I love movies and books related to that because it's just amazing. But yeah, we go into Russia this time. I believe in the first book, The Gilded Wolves, were in Paris. So we're traveling around the world, pretty much in Europe, pretty much in this series. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to traveling to Venice in the third book because I've always wanted to go to Venice, I'm not gonna lie, but since with the pandemic and everything going on, that sort of crushed me. But it is on my bucket list, so I do plan on going one day when everything is back to normal, if it ever gets back to normal. But I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm looking forward to reading more of reading the third book. But let me know down below if you read this, the first book and this book. But yeah, I really love this book so much. Even on, like, let me read you this is description. So it says, Severin and his team members might have successfully thwarted the fallen house, but victory came at a terrible cost. Sorry if you can't hear that in the background. It says, one that still haunts all of them. Desperate to make amends, Severin pursues a dangerous lead to find a long-lost artifact, rumored to grant its Lord, I can't talk right now. I'm having a tongue twister. Let me just start from the very beginning, and I do apologize about the noise. I believe my husband is giving my kids bath. They just got home because my daughter just had gymnastics today. So yeah, everybody's getting baths right now. So while I'm trying to do this, so let me just rewind. So it says, Severin and his team members might have successfully thwarted the fallen house, but victory came at a terrible cost, one that still haunts all of them. Desperate to make amends, Severin pursues a dangerous lead to find a long-lost artifact, rumored to grant its possessor the power of God. Their hunt lures them far from Paris and into the icy heart of Russia, where crystalline ice animals stalk forgotten mansions, broken goddesses carry deadly secrets, and a string of unsolved murders make the crew question whether an ancient myth is a myth after all. As hidden secrets come to light and the ghosts of the past catch up to them, the crew will discover new dimensions of themselves. But what they find out may lead them down paths they never imagined. The Silver Serpents is a story of love and betrayal as the crew risks their lives for one last job. Or so they thought it was their last job. Because I don't think it's their last job, especially how it just left me hanging at the end, which I don't want to spoil for you guys because you got to read it yourself. But like I said, a 5 out of 5 stars for this book. So definitely pick this up and pick up The Gilded Wolves. That way you can catch up and read the 3rd book when it comes out late September. But that is my review. I know I was rambling and stuff. I just can't help it because I really enjoy the books that I read, and I felt like August was a great month. I also did a mid-month wrap up too, so I'll definitely leave that up above in the cards, so that way you can thank you, the noise. So that way you can watch that as well and see what else that I have read in August. But this is what I read for the rest of August, or the other second half of August. I read a total of 5 books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books together. I believe in total, I think I've read maybe 9 or 10 books. I'm not sure. I don't remember, to be honest with you. I know it was quite a few at the beginning of August. And so, yeah, that is it, you guys. That is my wrap up for August. I really hoped you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. And please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.